I am with the CAA China office. My name is Zhang Weihao. I am the moderator of the Breakout Room 2. Today we have 3 breakout rooms, and please switch to the breakout room you would like to participate. Yesterday, experts talked about policy, management, and standard-related issues. Today we will focus on technology. And in our breakout session, we will focus on clean cooking and heating and technology on crop straws. And we're very happy to have Professor Liu Guangqing and Mr. Liu Jie from Heilongjiang, as well as 6 leading company representatives in this industry to talk about their technology and advancement. If you have any question, do not hesitate to type it into the chat box. I will convert it to the experts. So before inviting on the first speaker, we have a survey. It is aiming for the participants from outside of China. So if you're a Chinese participant, you can ignore this. And I would like to invite my colleague Dinah and to give you more details on this survey.
Thank you so much, Wei Hao. So I'll be launching the pre-test poll. So again, welcome to our participants to the day 3 of our Asia Clean Air Exchange event. So before we start, kindly requesting the participants to answer the pre-test, which is being launched right now via Zoom poll. So this pre-test is a self-assessment test that will measure our learning from today's activity. So please take some time to answer the poll being launched right now, and a similar test will be launched towards the end as a post-test. So we have here in the poll 6 questions on your self-assessment, on your knowledge on the policy development and best air quality management practices for the different sectors that are to be discussed today. So kindly requesting our participants, if you could please answer the poll. And please let us know if you don't see the poll on your screen. So let's just take a few minutes. Okay, so we have 2 of 15 participants answered. So we're just waiting for a bit more participants to answer our poll. So again, we only have 6 questions, so we hope that all of our participants can answer the questions. So 3 have already answered, so waiting a bit more. Okay, so I'm just 30 seconds more for our participants to answer. Okay, just a few more seconds. Okay, so around 5 participants have already answered. A few more seconds. Okay, I think that's it. So thank you for answering the pre-test, and we hope everyone will learn a lot from today's session. Thank you, and back to you, Wei.
好，谢谢丹娜，谢谢参会者的填写。那么下面我们就有请北京化工大学刘广
Thank
新
you,
教授
Dinah, and thank you for your participant. Now I would
介
like to
绍。
welcome
感谢丹娜，感谢参会者的填写。下面我们就有请北京化工
Thank you, Dinah.
教授介绍中国清洁。
Let's welcome Professor Liu Guangqing to talk about the current clean cooking and heating technologies.
大家好。
Thank you.
今天下午呢，我们接
Good afternoon. So this afternoon, by continuing similar topics, we will continue to talk about clean cooking and heating technologies in China. My talk will focus on the 5 aspects. The first is that to tell you about cooking and heating situation in developing countries. Second is about the models we use in China. And third, I will talk about typical clean cooking and heating technologies and the trend in China. And then I will share some cases. So first of all, let's have a look at what the cooking and heating situation is like in the developing countries. This is data from 2019. In the past 20 years, although UN and many other countries have been working on clean energy promotion, and the coverage has been improved. However, in some countries, especially in Latin America, Asia, and Africa, many people are still using solid fuel and non-clean fuel, especially for cooking and for everyday life. So in the right-hand corner in this chart, you can see the top 20 non-clean fuel countries, including China, India, Pakistan. And these countries has a larger population. And in the lower right-hand corner, we can see that our representatives are from these 6 countries. That's why I extracted data for these 6 countries. So based on the 2019 data, we can see that the non-clean solid fuel and for clean energy, we still have lots of rooms to improve. For example, for Philippines, Bangladesh, and Mongolia and Pakistan, the ratio is over 50%, which is the solid fuel rate. That means we have a lot of room to improve. When people are using solid fuel, especially biomass, that actually leads to too much manual work for female and the children and led to health issues. In this report, you can see in 2019, air quality is the 4th factor contributed to health problems due to the combustion, and combustion caused particles in the air, caused high ratio and higher risks of respiratory problem, and that ranks number 2. In other countries, including the countries where our representatives come from, what types of fuel do you use in daily life? Is it natural gas, electricity, or ethanol? I've taken out some examples from the past 10 years. As an example, in Uganda, in Africa, about 90% of the population uses traditional biomass for cooking every day, and that has been causing severe air pollution. In Kenya, over 90% of households use biomass, and some of the utensils and the combustion system is of a very low efficiency and causing air problem. In Bangladesh, many people still use biomass. In the recent years, the government of Bangladesh has been making great effort to promote clean stove. In Nepal, same situation there, and in the Laos, as well as in Cambodia, we can see the cooking facilities were quite traditional, and some facilities were not really complete. And in these countries, they are making effort to promote clean devices and clean heating equipment. Before 1980 in China, in many rural regions, they're still using traditional heating and cooking systems. There's no chimney and no cleaning facilities. By making great effort in the past 4 decades, the government has already helped to convert traditional cooking facilities and fields to clean fields and new types of cleaning and cooking equipment, turning into great result in protecting people's health and the environment. Our goal is to replace non-clean cooking facilities and fields into clean fields and clean facilities. In the second part, I would like to talk about the cooking and heating models in China. The first model is natural gas and methanol. These are relatively clean for cooking and heating, especially in recent years. In terms of cooking, in wide areas in the rural areas, many households adopted natural gas as the source of fuel. In terms of methanol and natural gas has been widely rolled out in China. The second model is electricity. The ratio and the volume is in the leading position in China. It is already enjoying a wide coverage, and there is a wide variety of choices for heating and for cooking. There are different choices for cooking and for heating. The third model is solid fuel. One is coal, the other one is biomass. The coal as a solid fuel, it can be used for heating water and cooking and boiling water. So depending on the facility one uses and the types of stoves. As for fuel, there are 2 billion tons of biomass waste, and we're trying to turn them in forest waste and agricultural waste. We turn them into biomass briquette and biomass fuels. In China, we also use clean technology to turn the resource into clean coal and honeycomb coal, as well as other types of clean fuel. I would like to show you how the cooking facilities changed in the past 4 decades. Before 1980, in the rural areas in China, traditional fuels and stoves were used. There was no chimney, causing air pollution, indoor air pollution, and the waste of sources. In the beginning of 1980, China rolled out the 6th five-year plan and promoted innovation in stove and energy protection, especially between 1982 to 1992. China started the modified biomass program, replaced 129 million improved stoves in China. And this campaign is still the largest and the most impactful project that financed by the government and has made great contribution to China's heating and clean energy usage. In the mid-1990s to 2005, there had been great revolution and changes in technology. Many new types of stoves and technology have been developed, and the efficiency have been improved. The waste and emission have been greatly reduced. In the post-2005 years and in the 21st century, more technology and new stoves have been developed, and efficiency was greatly improved.
In the past 40 years, we have changed from the traditional methods to the clean energy. And in the third part, I would introduce to you the typical clean cooking and heating technologies in rural China. They can be classified into all these categories. Regarding the fuels, it has two types. One is the densified biomass fuel, the other is clean coals, including blue coal, honeycomb coal, and the clean coal briquette. Regarding clean cooking and heating technologies, there are three types of technologies. One is the air source heat pump. The second is the biomass cooking and heating. There are two types of the cooking stoves, the centralized one and the household one. And the third one is the clean coal cooking heating. It also includes the cook stoves as well as the cooking and heating stoves. So let's have a look at the first one, which is the biomass pellet making technologies. In China, there have been 2,000 manufacturers of biomass fuel in China. The sources are the residues of the agriculture and the forest waste. They have been humidified, they have been dried and then compressed and then turned into the fuel. They are used for the stoves and the furnace. These technologies are really mature. And for the briquette machines, we have the small size one and the large size one. The small size one can produce 100 kilograms per hour, but for the large size one, they can produce over 1,000 kilograms of the fuels per hour. And the second technology is the clean coal making technology. The uncleaned briquettes, coal briquettes, will be turned into the powder and cleaned, and then reproduce as the clean coal in different sizes. We also have the facilities and the equipment to produce this kind of the clean coal. And this clean coal has already been, the pollutant has already been removed from this coal. Therefore, they can be called a clean coal. And the third technology is the clean household biomass stove technologies. There are different categories. The first category is classified according to their functions. We have the stoves for cooking, and we have those for both cooking and heating.
林老师，林老师这可能有点信号的问题，我们稍等。
Well, let's wait for a few seconds. There is some technical problems going through in Professor Liu's side.
老师掉线了，看会重新连接。
Professor Liu is re-logging in now.
那么刚才我看聊天室里收到了2个关于清洁煤的问题。
There are 2 questions proposed in the chat box about the clean coal. After the keynote speech delivered by 2 professors, we'll have 5 minutes Q&A session, and the questions collected in the chat box will be referred to the 2 experts. Because we have to wait for a long time until we reach the Q&A session. So that's why we will have 5 minutes for the Q&A after the 2 keynote speeches. Okay, so we have Mr. Liu again. Sorry for the technology problems that happened on my side. So let's continue. So can we continue? Or we have the Q&A session first? What should we do now? Yes, Professor Liu, please continue. All right, so let's continue. Sorry about the internet problem. So let's have a look at the first types of the stove. It is the cooking stove. Use the biomass fuel. It has only one function that is used for cooking. You can see that these kind of the stoves have various scales, and they have really high thermal efficiency and really low emission. The second type is the stove for both cooking and heating. We can use it to cook, to boil water, and to produce the heat. There are two types of heat provision. One is the radiant heating one, and another one is the water heating. And then they can be classified by the heating models. In this category, we have the water heating stoves, radiant stove, hot blast stoves, the wall hung stove, as well as the bed, which is quite special in China. We call it hung in Chinese. And the bed has already been connected to the stove. Therefore, the heat can be transmitted to the bed. And the third type is classified by the combustion functions. According to the types of the fuel and the coal, there are two types of the stove, the forward combustion one and the reversal combustion one. This kind of the stove has the highest thermal efficiency and the lowest emission. And the fourth one is classified by the feeding mode. We have the automotive feeding one, and the mechanical feeding one, and the gravity feeding one. These two have their own advantage and disadvantage. With the development of the technology, the mechanical feedings will be welcomed by the households thanks to the improvement of the bells for the feeding. We can see that the emission testing for various wood pellet stove was really low, and I already shared with you some data about the emission of the carbon monoxide, PM 2.5, and the nitrogen matters and sulfur. You can see that the data of this kind of the stoves has reached the standards in the Europe. And from this page, you can see the emission of the PM 2.5 and then the emission of the carbon monoxide. And we also have the really complete testing system for this kind of the stoves. And this kind of the facilities are really portable. Therefore, they can help us to test different kind of the stoves. The fourth technology is the clean biomass centralized heating technologies. It has two types. The first one is the fuel types, which use the pellet, briquettes, and the chips. And the second one is the direct one. They use the straw belt directly boiler to produce the heat. And these technologies will be introduced later in details. The fifth technology is the clean household coal cooking and heating. And this kind of the clean coal is produced by using the coal briquette. They can be used by the clean stove for cooking and heating. This kind of the stove has reduced the emission and pollution in large scale. And the next one is the air source heating pump. These kind of the facilities has really great efficiency. Therefore, they are welcomed by the households and citizens in various parts of China. Finally, I would like to share with you some cases. The first one is held in the Yangqing County of the Shandong Province. In the county, there are 8 towns, 854 villages. There are 95,000 households. In the past 4 years, the government provide a lot of the subsidies to introduce the technologies. We have the stoves for the individual household and also have the facilities for the centralized heating. And for the household which use the stoves, they can have the 4,500 RMB. And for those who use the biomass pallets, they can get 600 RMB subsidies per ton of the biomass. And for those who use the centralized heating, they can receive the 5,500 RMB. Because of the subsidies, they like to use and try this kind of the new stoves and the technologies. With the efforts of the government, the PM 2.5 emission was only 61 milligrams per square meter, per cubic meter. And the air quality has improved by 22.8%, and the cost of use has reduced by 46.86%. This is a really good example. In a really small county, the biomass, the clean biomass, was introduced to the whole city, and it was really successful. The second case is the straw bale direct combustion heating project in Jinzhou, Heilongjiang province. You can see from the pictures that they can use these kind of the stoves for different purposes. For example, they use them as the tables, and use the electricity as the energy. There's no any emission. And for each household, they can save 25,000 tons of the coal per year. It is also a really successful case. The third case is the Xunda cooking stove project in Myanmar. A lot of the stoves were introduced successfully to many Southeast countries, especially in Myanmar. And 10,000 clean stoves was sent to the Myanmar for free by the government. This is my suggestion. We hope that the China aliens for clean stoves can cooperate with the government and the companies to promote the exchange, innovation, and sharing. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Liu, for your sharing. And now you can stop sharing your screen.
As you can see, his report is quite complete. After 2005, we have seen great development, advancement in terms of technology and the fields. In terms of fuel, there are clean coal briquette, biomass briquette, biomass pellet, and in terms of stove, there are our function. They are used for heating radiant stoves and water heating stove and hot blast stove and fireplace. Later on, we will have specialized companies to give you more detailed introduction about these application of the technology. Now, I would like to welcome Mr. Liu Jie, the president of Heilongjiang Academy of Black Soil Conservation and Utilization, to give us an introduction about agricultural waste utilization. Mr. Liu, we can see your presentation, but we can't hear you. Could you choose a original channel in audio, in your audio choices? We can't hear you, Mr. Liu. Mr. Liu? Mr. Liu, can you hear me? President Liu? Okay, so let's wait for Mr. Liu to set up the speaking technology, and let's have a look at the questions in the chat box first. Professor Liu, I would like to welcome you back to answer the questions put forward by the audience. But the first question is that comparing with other technologies, how clean is clean coal? It is still coal, there's emission, and why is it called clean coal? Could you answer that question? Okay. So whether the coal is clean, it's not depending on is it called coal or biomass. It depends on if that fuel contains non-clean elements, and also it depends on the combustion technology. Coal sounds like not that clean. However, there are different types of coal, and the consumption of coal that varies from one to another. Some consist of fluorine and sulfur. However, in some coal, the content of sulfur and is actually quite low. So we need the technologies to retain sulfur and to retain these contaminated element and pollutant, and then use a clean technology to burn these coal. So in this way, we could control and improve the efficiency of combustion. So 2 PM to 2.5 and elements like nitrogen oxides will be reduced to meet the national standard.
我觉得也是一个非常好的方式，毕竟。
So we also heard that there is need for reactive coal. China is a big consumer of coal, so we need to use it in a clean manner and more efficient manner. There are two more questions. The first one is that the production of clean coal does it lead to any like a byproduct? So the process of production of clean coal, in terms of waste, there's not much of waste. It doesn't pollute the water. And you need technology to retain sulfur. Therefore, there's not much of waste to be released. However, in the process of washing and the processing process, there might be gas produced. However, for that, we have matured technology to be applied to reduce that issue. So these emissions can be contained and can be tackled. The next question, as you mentioned about methanol, is there any successful cases of application of methanol in China? In terms of the volume, comparing with other fuels, the application and the ratio is actually relatively low. So it's not that widely applied. However, in the southern part of China, they have abundant source of methanol and the price is not too high. So, however, in other areas, using methanol as a fuel is limited. So, methanol probably in the near future will not become a main source of fuel. However, if the price is low in some areas and the cost and effect is high, then it might be welcomed in those areas. So I have another question is that under the technology aid or support, in terms of a cost and effect, do you have any suggestions when taking cost and emission into consideration? Well, for cooking stove, is widely used in the rural areas, so the price must be low. Otherwise, it's not affordable for people living in the rural areas. So reducing the cost is a very important issue. And to solve that problem, we need to put it into mass production and reduce the cost on the materials and the source and the raw materials. So in the future, we need to work on how to put it into mass production, put it at scale, make it scalable, and in terms of, for example, like processing material and water resistant, fire resistant materials, we can reduce the cost of these materials. Thank you, Mr. Liu. Okay, now let's welcome Mr. President Liu Jie back to see if his technology is ready. Okay, President Liu, it seems like there's some technical problem with President Liu's Zoom, so let's move on to the next session. The next session is introduction of company representatives. Let's welcome the first company, which is Zhejiang Hui Wenmei Stove. Are you there? Okay. I'm here and I would like to invite you to share your PowerPoint. Can you see my presentation? Yes. Well, first of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Wan Chengkai. I am the manager with Zhejiang Huiwenmei Stove. So before going into our production products, I'd like to give you an introduction about our company. We were renamed, and now we are called, for short, called SSM for short. The company was founded in 1979, focused on production of high efficiency cooking stoves. We have been exporting our product to the overseas market for 20 years. In terms of materials, efficiency, and effectiveness, we have gained quite abundant technology and data. We've been working with Global Good Foundation under the Bill Gates, the Gates Foundation, and we also work with Clean Alliance, Aproco, Research Center, Red Cross, and the UN Refugee Agency. In the past 6 years, we're also working with co-credit partners and exported 1.5 million units of devices of stoves, and we also invested $4 million in development of clean, low-cost stove, and increased the production, the output of 2 million units. And this expansion will turn us into the leading company in terms of a high-tech and clean stove. We also have been recognized in the international market. In 2009, we won the International Energy Champion Certificate. It was presented by Prince Charles. In the same year, we were also awarded by the US Environmental Protection Agency as Special Achievement Award for Clean Indoor Air. We have received many delegates from around the world to study our technology. In 2019, we worked with Bill Gates Foundation, successfully signed a memorandum of understanding to develop new types of clean stove together. Comparing with wind power, light power, and electricity, and water hydraulic power, the carbon emission is saved and by clean stove, and it is also widely accepted. After 2021, clean stove has been attached with great importance, and in a lot of countries there has been favorable policies rolled out to promote high efficient clean stove. If we take the lifetime, if we set lifetime as 6 years and the reduction of carbon dioxide as 2 tons, so for each unit within its lifetime, it can reduce 10 tons of carbon dioxide. That equals to a 4-year carbon emission of a automobile. So that is actually making great contribution to the environment protection. Apart from reducing the emission, it is also making contribution to protecting people's health and improving cooking quality. Incomplete combustion will cause problems to the respiratory and cardiovascular problems to people. We adopted a secondary air inlet system to further reduce emission and to improve the fuel efficiency. According to World Health Organization and the Stove Alliance, based on the data in 2019, clean stove only covers 50 million people. There are still people using biomass for cooking, and the number is actually rising. By 2025, the number is likely to reach 1.24 billion. Many countries have been making plan. At least there will be 200 million clean stove to be provided to 1 billion people.
So all these pictures are taken when we visit these companies, when we visit these kind of the countries, because people use this kind of the biomass fuel. A large number of the tree have been cut down to be used as the charcoal or firewood for cooking and heating, and the burning efficiency is extremely low. At the same time, they also produce a lot of the smoke, which is harmful to the health of the people, especially the girls and the ladies. We have already introduced it before, and this is the jet flame that is developed between us and the Bill Gates Foundation. And the jet flame is its name. It is a new type of the wood stove accessory that improves combustion and the thermal efficiency. A 1.5 watts fan blows powerful jets of air underneath the fire through the charcoal and into the flames, resulting in intense heat and very little smoke. The added supply of the under air makes tending the fire much easier. It's even moist stick of wood or another biomass can be successfully used, especially in the humid areas. Because of these kind of the technologies, these kind of things has already been removed. For example, the jet flame project in Malawi and a mud brick stove now achieves some ISO Tier 4 rankings, and more stoves would be put into the market. According to the latest ISO level, and the thermal efficiency and the emission has reached over Type 4 ranking. The jet flame can be used with the traditional mud stoves used in the majority of the households of the counties in China. Now, I would like to share with you a video.
It brings us light, warmth, safety, and delicious food. Normally, smoke always comes with fire. It is produced by inadequate combustion of the fuel. Jet flame is a brand new type of clean cook stove. A high-pressure fan blows air into the cast iron plenum and through 30 jet holes to evenly distribute the air underneath the fire. The jets of air blow into the charcoal and through the flames, ensuring there's enough oxygen to help the fuel burn more completely. Compared to a traditional 3-stone fire, the jet flame can reduce smoke emissions up to 80%, protecting your health and your family. Cooking with the intense, concentrated heat of the jet flame is more efficient. You cook faster and can reduce fuel use by 60%. It is easy to operate and clean. Just dump out the ash. You can use the jet flame on its own or as an accessory, improving the performance of an existing wood stove, like this. The flexible USB power can be plugged into a mobile charger, power bank, or solar panel. Clean. Just dump out the ash of an existing wood stove, like this. The flexible USB power can be plugged into a mobile charger, power bank, or solar panel.
I was so surprised when I turned on the jet flame. The fan makes the fire so hot and very powerful. The flames are concentrated under the pot and the smoke disappears. I'm cooking faster and with much less wood. This thing is so cool. I love my jet flame.
Jet flame. Turn your fire into a jet.
OK， 因为这个产品呢，它会比较别致一点，会比较
The product is quite special.
使用的一些炉具的一个造型跟结构，所以我们
So the shape and the structure is quite different from the stoves we usually see. Therefore, I would like to share with you the video about how you should use it and the efficiency they can and the performance they can deliver.
应用非常广泛的一款产品。
The next product I would like to share with you is the product which has already been launched into the market for many years, and recently it just got a further improvement. It is S32-X.
高效的一个火箭炉。
It is a really great rocket stove with the high efficiency. It comes with an adjustable skirt.
这款带 X 编号的这款产品呢，是
The latest product with the code X
的这个热效率，也
has
是
the thermal efficiency over 50%. It is also one of the first choice of our cooperators.
这个新型的改进
At the same time,
耐用性呢也得到了进一步的提高，它比
the durability of this one has already been improved.
这款 S32-13会有更好的耐腐蚀会和更坚固的结构。
Compared to the S32, this one is more durable and more robust.
S32-13呢是是这样，我刚
Compared to the S32-13, which has been widely used in the CMD projects around the world.
主义的一些 NGO 他们的首选的一些产品。
It is chosen by some NGOs with the humanity help.
是比较简单易懂。
The structure is quite simple.
的用户呢也不需要很过多的一些教育和学习。
The users don't need to learn a lot
达到一个
so that they can use the stove and maintain the stove properly. Therefore,
碳计划方面的一个产品选项。
it is a really great product to reduce the carbon emission.
是我们的比较大一点的一些机构炉。我们
The
的
institutional stove
是里面呢是有一个
is what we called about these products.
容量。
The size is quite large.
这个炉具呢是主要适用于一些发展中国家的
It is mainly used by schools, communities, hospitals, and
那他们是
large groups in the developing countries. In these organizations, not every household are enabled to cook.
它可以比如说提供，尤其是主要是提供于学校。
These kind of the products is mainly used by the schools.
400、
Each
500个人。
school would have about 200 to 450 people.
会有50个人的食物供应，所以说他们只需要
By using this stove, they can cook up to 50 persons per pot of food.
他们整个学校几百人同时就餐的这么一个
Therefore,
效果。
schools who use this kind of the stove can provide enough food for hundreds of people at the same time.
烟囱啊，就是
It also comes with a chimney.
孩子们或者一些
Therefore,
妇女
the children or ladies
带来的一些烟尘
in the schools will not be harmed by the indoor air
到室外。
because the smoke has already been
接下来我先
removed
介绍一下我们
to the outdoor area.
项目。
Now I would like to share with you some projects we engaged.
S32这款产品。
It also covers some products we already introduced before, such as the S32.
有做过非常多的调查，在非洲
We have done a lot of the investigations in a lot of the areas
叫 system fire 就30火，
in the
当地的
Africa area.
会
A lot of people use the traditional methods to cook.
这些炉具呢，虽然方便，但是呢，
These kind of the stoves are really convenient, but the combustion efficiency is really low. Therefore, there is a waste of the fuel, and the smoke produced also harm the health of the ladies and the children.
多国所有提供的这个产品呢，
We provide over 700,000 stoves to these areas. A year, an individual stove can reduce the carbon emission by 3 tons. And the firewood is saved by 50%, and carbon monoxide and other harmful substances are reduced by 70%. It has a really long life expectancy. The first batch of the products was used in 2012, and the majority of the stove was used since 2014. It has already, this kind of the project has shown that the life of this kind of the stove are over 8 years. And all the materials of the stove can be recycled and used again without affecting the local ecology. Because the stoves are made of the clay and the metals. The clays are the special one. Therefore, all the raw materials of the stove can be recycled and used again. Besides these projects in the Africa, we also launch these products in the neighboring countries. So this kind of the clean stove has already been sold very successfully in the African countries. And we have extend our investment to prepare for the projects this year and the next year. Because in the Africa and the Southeast Asia, there are a lot of the stove projects undergoing. The value of these kind of the projects are over million yuan. Next, I would like to share with you the CDM project in the Southeast Asia. The conditions in the Southeast Asia are really akin to those in the African. The people in these countries are not having a really wealthy life, so they mainly use the wood to cook. When we visit the local household, the environment was not very good. They mainly use the traditional and conventional stoves, which produce a lot of the smoke in the indoor area. So when we visit the household, it's really hard for us to see clearly the conditions of the kitchen, and this kind of the smoke also harm the health of the local people. In the past 6 years, we cooperate with our partners. We launched over 500,000 stoves in Cambodia, Indonesia, Myanmar, East Timor, Laos, and India. And it helped the local people to reduce the cutting of the local forest. When we launch these kind of the projects, we also demonstrate the correct way of using these kind of stoves to the local authorities, so that they know how to use these kind of stoves correctly, and they also learn how to maintain it properly. And we also educate them the disadvantage of the traditional stoves and encourage them to replace the traditional one with the clean stoves. We also listen to the suggestions of the local representatives so that we can improve our product. Later, we will further enhance our cooperations with our partners. So much from me, and I would like to know any other questions from the floor. Thank you very much for sharing the conditions and the products from your company. Later, we will have a Q&A session, and thank you very much. So
You see
Mr.
that-
Liu Jie has already been online. Now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Liu Jie.
Can you hear me now? Okay, loud and clear. Thank you. That's great. Apologies for the technical issues. I'd like to talk about the strategy and technology of comprehensive utilization of crop straws. Could you expand your screen? You need to make some changes. Okay, then that's all right. Can you see me? And then I will talk about the strategies. Third, I would like to talk about the technologies in utilization of crop straws. So the first thing is the current status quo. In the world, China accounts for 20% of 5 billion tons. In China, the production reached 800 million tons, mainly coming from wheat. Sorry, you might need to restart sharing. Your PowerPoint is not working well. Can you see my screen now? Not really. We can only see your first page. Just share your desktop. Well, I still have some technical issues. Why not just move on to the next speaker and I'll come back later? Well, sorry, apologies, dear participants. Let's move on to the next representative of the company representatives, and is a representative from Laowan here. Mrs. Xin, and very good to see you. Please share your presentation. It looks a bit small, and can you try to share it? Okay, that looks good. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Xin Li. I am with Shanxi Laowan Clean Heating Industry. We were established in 1985, mainly focusing on the domestic market in production of heating boiler and the biomass boiler, gas boiler, and other devices, and heating devices. Mainly the most commonly seen domestic use facilities. And our market mainly focus on the northern part of China. And we also export some of the boilers to North America. However, still not our main market. In the past 30 years, we have made a substantial growth and been recognized in the heating market, especially in the recent years. In recent 10 years, the government attached a great importance to clean heating equipment, clean heating technology in the northern part of China. And we have participated in a lot of projects, including biomass utilization and coal utilization. We had established many successful projects and cases, and those can be introduced to other places or adopted in many other places. The Chinese government has started to roll out environment protection of environment since 2013. There had been many policies and national level policies gradually rolled out, and the plan were made until 2021. By the end of last year, we have already seen stage result and outcomes out of these policies. For example, the PM 2.2 reduction and other pollutant reduction. These results were made by 2021, and we have made tentative conclusion and outcomes. However, we haven't actually reached our goal on coal reduction. We still have to work on that. Here, I would like to highlight on biomass compressed fuel. By the end of last year, in northern China, biomass models have in the northern part of China has been reached 1 million, and especially focusing on northeast and Shandong, Shanxi province and western part of the country. These technologies were introduced into rural areas, into household. In Shandong, the number has reached 100,000. As Mr. Liu just mentioned, in the Bingzhou town of Shandong, they are now using biofuel pellets as a source of fuel, and 222 households have been using biomass clean heating. The other technology I would like to highlight on is briquette cooking and heating boilers. In a lot of places, briquette requires fewer technology, especially in mountainous areas. The waste of wood and the fire sources, these are natural materials for briquette, especially in areas where they have abundant wood and trees. This is a facility or an equipment to produce briquette. It also can provide heating for different rooms. The biggest characteristics is that it fits the habit of local households. In the past, people use coal equipment. They are familiar with the techniques and the operation of these cooking stove and the facilities. So the way to operate this one is quite similar to the traditional facilities. That means farmers and residents do not have to be trained to use the new facility. It's easy to pick up, and they can also use this for cooking. Cooking is something people do every day, so that it meets the need of local people. It can also managed, operated manually. It doesn't require any high-tech operation, so it's easy to operate, the cost is low. It is ideal for people in mountainous areas and rural areas, especially less developed areas, because the cost is low. Average people are able to afford that. And the subsidy needed is also not too high. Most important is that the briquette can be found in local areas, and the cost is much lower than coal. It is actually the lowest cost among the usually known or the common source of fuel. We still rely on government sourcing to promote this technology. In northern China, this campaign has been sped up in last year. Government would rely on its tender bidding process and provide subsidies and promote this technology. So our technology actually fits government's policy in replacement of clean technology. The second product is a cooking stove, pellet cooking stove. It doesn't need to be connected to water pump. It depends on the radiation physics to provide heating. It only requires radiator. So it doesn't solely rely on wood. It also takes in crop straw and the corn straw, which are abundant in northern China. Another pellet made from other sources can be used. So the feeding screw convener is an independent one, so it's easy to operate. The fuel is fed in a separate device, so you can control the volume of the fire. There is also an embedded oven inside it, so you can use it for cooking, not just for normal cooking and stirring or stew. People can also use it as an oven. So the emission also meet China's standards and requirements on household cooking devices. And this product is ideal for people who live in rural areas, especially with small houses. In the north, many people who still live in rural areas in the north are elderlies. They don't have much large houses. They live in a house of 2 rooms. So the radiant system is low cost, easy to operate, ideal for elderlies. In order to promote this technology, we also rely on subsidies and the government procurement. It is the government that is leading the campaign and replacement of clean technology. We need the government to procure this technology and promote it among the residents. It has been used in Shanxi and Shandong provinces. By the end of last year, we have finished the first stage project. Among other devices, heating stove actually accounts for the largest proportion, about 90%.
And the third type is not for the household, But for the commercial purposes, such as the hotels, restaurants, and the schools, it also can be used by the farms. And we have some limitations on the pellets of the briquette. It doesn't mean that it can use all types of the fuel. It only can use some certain types of the fuels. It is a product for the commercial purposes. Therefore, it needs to comply to the really strict orders and the regulations of the emission. It has really high combustion efficiency, over 85% of the thermal efficiency. Regarding the feeding of the fuel, it has the twin screw and differential and the horizontal automatic feeding mechanism, so that it doesn't have the hazard of the backfire. And it also have the equipment to reduce the production and the emission of the particles. And the Internet of Things remote controlled accessory can also be an option to the stove. With this device, we can control the stove by using the mobile phone app. Therefore, it can help the users to reduce the cost of the labor in today when the labor cost is really high. The device is really suitable for the central heating of residents and heating of the large places such as the breeding, greenhouse, factories, and schools in the towns. It is really suitable for the areas where it has go through the gas to coal, the gold gas project. Because it is not used for the centralized heating or the centralized projects of coal to gas or coal to electricity, because it will use the fuel. The thermal efficiency of this one is higher than the coal, but the cost of this stove is much lower than the stoves or the projects of coal to gas or coal electricity. Therefore, in the towns, countryside, this one is really suitable. It is two ways to promote this product. One is purchased by the government, especially the public financialized projects. For example, they are used in the schools, organization, etc. And in the other hand, it is also used and purchased by the companies and the enterprises as well. With the popularization and application of more and more biomass energy products in the rural area, China's rural ecology environments will be improved. In the past, we mainly used the coal or the straw, but with over a decade of the effort, the biomass fuel, natural gas, electricity, and diverse energy has already been used in the countryside area, especially in recently 2 years. Because of the rural revitalization projects, a lot of the different kinds of the fuel has already been used in the rural area. In order to revitalize the rural area, energy is playing a really important part. The energy must be clean and economical. In a nutshell, these three products are promoted in the northern areas in China. It can contribute to the air pollution reduction. If you have any questions, you are welcome to contact me. Thank you very much, Mr. Xing, for your introduction. Now, I would like to give the floor to the Professor Liu Jie, who will share with us the strategy and the technology of the comprehensive utilization of the crop straws. Can you hear me and see the screen I share? Yes, everything goes well. Sorry about the technology problems. Today, I would like to share with you the strategy and technology of comprehensive utilization of crop straw. My presentation has three parts. One is the status quo of the comprehensive utilization of straw in China, and the second one is the obstacles and the countermeasures. And the third, I would like to share with you some technologies of the utilization of straw. In China, we produce over 800 million tons of the straw, and 730 million straws can be collected. They are from the wheat, rice, which accounts for 80% of the total straw. And in the charts, you can see the straws from the China and its distribution in China. In 2007, the comprehensive utilization rate of straw in China was about 81.7%. In 2019, the figure increased to 86.7%. And they are mainly used for the following purposes: fertilizer, feed, fuel, and other purposes. In different areas, the straws are used for different purposes. For example, in the eastern areas, they may be used as the fertilizer, but in the northern area, it is used as the feed and the fuels. So it depends on the regions. People use the straws for different purposes. There are several obstacles. The first one is that simple and extensive use, which causes low efficiency and severe pollution, which has already been mentioned before. What are the causes? We have some analysis. First is the separation of the planting and the grazing. It is caused by the reform of the agricultural production mode. In the past, we adopted the conventional and traditional small farmer. Well, actually, in this kind of the traditional agriculture, a story can describe that simply. A half acre of land, a cow, a wife, and children. But in modern society, the modern agriculture with the machines, intensification, and scale cultivation and ecology must replace the traditional agriculture. And because of the adoption of the modern agriculture, there are a lot of the straws left. And the second is the structural factors, domains high yield agriculture and lead to high straw products. Why I say that? Because in the northeast China, the proportion of the rice and the corns are really high. Therefore, the numbers of the straws increase really high. It has two negative effects. One is the long-term high-intensity output of the farmland ecosystem. The other one is the large amount of the agricultural waste lead to waste of resources and environmental problem. It also increased the cost as well. So any other countermeasures we can take? In China, we need to improve the technology and the machines. Well, we need to take the features of the straws into the consideration, take the core into the consideration. They are harvested in the wintertime. Therefore, the moist of the straw is over 35%. So it's not easy to store and it is easy to roll. And the features of the loose texture, large amounts, insect damage, easy flammable, and other features make it really hard to store and process. And the current technology also have their own obstacles. For example, the briquetting of the straw. It has the disadvantage of the high energy consumption, easy loss, and high cost. In general, these kind of the difficulties are faced by different countries all over the world. Without the support of the government, the problem cannot be solved. And the low cost and high efficiency straw energy technologies and the equipment need to be researched and developed. By using the straws as the feed, the disadvantage is that the nutrition absorption is really low, only 15 to 18%. So let's have a look at the table effects of the alfalfa NDF on feed intake of the dairy cow, because that the amount of the food taken by the cow is really low. Therefore, the production of the milk is also low as well. Let's have a look at the nutrient of the rough hedge of 4 different types of the feed: the alfalfa, the corn, the hay, and the corn stover. You can see that the NAL of the stove is really low. Therefore, the investment and return rate is not good. There are some problems in the industry as well. Much higher money one-time investment in straw processing and transformation for enterprises, and long return cycle and uncertainty in obtaining benefits. And the companies lack pricing privilege in the face of the millions of the household. There are some other problems such as the public awareness and the policy issues. We have some coping strategies. For the top design level, we need to have the practical, feasible policies. And regarding the source management, we need to pay attention to the structure of the agriculture, including the planting and the feeding. The structure must be reasonable. Therefore, we can use the land sustainably and reduce the output of the straw. And in the overall design, we need to have a comprehensive plan. I also have some suggestions for developments. First, with the allowed of the weather, we need to have an effective regional crop rotation system to achieve straw source reduction. And second, we need to cooperate with schools, universities, industries, and research institutes. And the third one is building a straw utilization technology system and expand the ways of the straw resource utilization. And fourth, we need to establish policy and standard system guide straw utilization to market developments. And now I want to with you some technologies in China. There are 5 technologies. And this one was mentioned in the list of the utilization of the straw. It can be used as the energy, fertilizer, and the base fuel. Now I want to introduce you the use of the straw as the fertilizer.
Whether it's in Europe or Americas or China or Asia, the first
In
application of
different areas,
fertilizer,
when we use the straw as the fertilizer, the need return to the field. In China, there are several technologies.
and then afterwards we could just bury it into the soil. So to use it as a fertilizer, it can be at the bottom of the field, the entire field. The second application is in some deep areas. It can be cut into pieces and shredded on the spot, and then buried in depth of 25 centimeter, so to ensure the fertilizer is sufficient in the field. The third is the straw mulch no tillage technology. In the left-hand side, you can see that we bury the entire straw to use it to cover the surface of the field. So that it is like rolling out a duvet over the field. In places like in Mongolia and Xinjiang, where the wind is strong, so it can protect the field from the strong wind. And in the lower left-hand corner is where we grow pulses. So you can see this technology is helping with the growth of the pulses. This is another application. When the corn is seeded, then we cover it with the straws. It is called tillage, conservation tillage. It has been promoted in China, many places in China. The last application is in situ composting. We just pile it up as a compost in the field, and then use it later as a compost. I have technical points and the detailed application in my presentation. Due to time constraint, I'm not going to go into details now. So this is how it is the application. This is a picture taken in the north of China, and after winter, when winter is over, and what it is like in application. So the next, I'm going to talk about straw biochar returning to the field. We add fertilizers together and chemical fertilizers to produce biochar. And this is how we apply it. And the next application is to use straw as a straw substrate material. So we call that a straw edible fungus substrate application. We use straw as a fertilizer to grow fungus, mushrooms, to produce edible fungus and create this closed loop of application. So this is also another way to reuse, to return the straws into the field. These are the final product. In multidimensional growing facility, the third utilization is to use straw as feed. Whether it's straw or green storage or yellow storage, in a complete and sealed container, and then we turn it to fermentate it, and through chemical reaction to turn it into feed, so that we could provide feed for animals sustainably, and it will not be affected by winter and by the seasonal changes. And here I would like to aminification and alkalization technology. I'm going to briefly talk about it. First, we bind it and then to shred it into shred it and then package it and then compile it for fermentation. So each bundle is an individual fermentation container. The third application is to use it as energy. As Mr. Wan said, and there will be other companies introducing their technology. To use it as a fuel, we divide it into 3 ways. The first is called One Village, One Factory, household straw molding fuel heating mode. We put it into briquette or bundles. It has already been used in Heilongjiang province with more than 1,400 straw compaction stations. And the production capacity reached 7.5 million tons. The interpreter cannot hear the speaker. The interpreter cannot hear the speaker, and seems like the speaker's connection is lost. Mr. Liu, are you with us? We can't hear you. President Liu, you might need to reconnect it to the webinar. It seems like there's no question regarding the application of crop straws. We welcome questions from you all. We have received 4 questions about the cooking facility. There has been no question about crop straws. President Liu, it seems like the connection is not very stable. So could you reconnect? Let's first move on to the next representative from the enterprises. Let's welcome Mr. Zhang from Shandong Rotex Machinery. Are you with us? Could you unmute yourself? Yes, we can hear you. Please share your presentation. Can you see my presentation? Yes. Good afternoon. I am with Shandong Bolida Machinery and Shandong Rotex Machinery. My name is Zhang, and I will give you an introduction about biomass pellet production line equipment. In 2020 to 2022, we have seen great advancement of this technology, especially in recent years as the requirement on environment protection has become much more strict, and the goal of carbon peaking and carbon neutralization. We have seen many different technologies erupted in different provinces to support this cause. So in the this afternoon, I'm going to talk about these 4 areas. First is a company introduction. Second is about current situation of Chinese biomass pellet fuel. Third is processing technology and equipment. Fourth is customer cases and the application in Southeastern Asian countries. First, about our company. Shandong Bolidai and Rotex was established in 2013 and headquartered in Jinan City. Over the years, we have grown into a group company. We provide not just one product, we are also able to provide a turnkey project of 300,000 tons of product. We are specialized in industrial crushing, biomass pellet making, crushing, dry and cooling. We also provide cooler, dryer, auxiliary equipment, biomass pellet, factory turnkey, and project EPC services. We have passed ISO 9001 International Quality Management and CE certification. Every year, 20 to 20% of income will be spent on R&D. We have adopted intelligent processing equipment such as laser cutting machine, CNC processing center, welding robot, AGV, and such technologies. There are 30 R&D engineers and 15 senior engineers with over 10 years experiences each of them. Our registered capital is 35 million and 10 million respectively. The workshop area covers an area of 36,000 square meters and 40,000 square meters. We have an employee of 330, and 30 people are in our core technical team. Average annual output is 8,000 and 1,600 sets of various main machines. There are 600 production lines. 50% of it are used for domestic purposes, and the other 50% provide services for Europe, Southeastern Asian countries, and the Middle East. In terms of innovation, our chief engineers have an experience of 30 years, and they have a core team and multiple patents registered. Both companies are at national level and regarded as special and specialized companies and new technology company. That is about our company. So with the numbers and data, it might have already presented a clear image of the company. Next, I would like to talk about the status quo of Chinese biomass pellet fuel. First, I will give you an introduction from the perspective of government policies. Next is about current pellet classification and regional tendency. On March the 5th, 2021, at the 13th MPC at the 4th plenary, the government report said we need to roll out our goal of carbon neutralization, carbon peaking to achieve the goal of the 2030 carbon peaking goal and control energy consumption and energy structure restructuring. These two areas has been given strong policy support, which has been really important and useful for the industrial development and advancement. Biomass solid fuel as a renewable energy, it is really supportive and useful for helping China to replace new energy, replace pollutant energies, and to realize clean energy. The Chinese and English are not on the same page due to long paragraphs. I'm going to share this presentation with you in the group. Currently, pellet classification, I'm going to talk about it based on the China's situation. Source for material for the situation is different from Russia and Southeastern Asian countries because these countries are full of wood-based materials. In China, we mainly use demolishing materials left over and from veneer and the building formworks and leftover from furniture, bamboo, tobacco, poles, fruit trees. They are widely used in boilers and as well as other purposes. In Heilongjiang and Jilin provinces, we mainly import wood and materials from and birch imported from Russia, as well as pine. In Heilongjiang northern areas, they use other imports. In Shandong and Shanxi, Gansu, the main source are from fruit trees, especially like apple trees and other sources. These provinces grow abundant apple trees, therefore apple tree branches can be used.
And in the middle area, such as the Shandong, Anhui, Henan, Hebei province in the middle China, they mainly use the offcuts and the building materials as the resources. In the central and southern areas, such as the Jiangsu, Zhejiang, Hubei, Hunan province, they mainly use the offcut of the furnitures, especially the Zhejiang and Jiangsu province. A lot of the furnitures are produced mainly in these areas, so they have a lot of the offcuts. In these areas, a lot of the products also produced, such as the wooden floor, etc. Therefore, they have a lot of the leftover materials. In the southwest China area, including Guizhou, Yunnan, and Zhejiang, Guizhou, Yunnan, and Sichuan province, they have a lot of the offcuts. And in the Yunnan and Guizhou areas, they may also use the tobaccos and the bamboo as resources, which are good raw materials for the biomass fuels. So in the majority areas of the China, we can see that they use different raw materials to produce the biomass fuel. So let's look at the pictures of the fruit tree branches and wastewood pallets. They are not taken in the Shanxi province. They were taken in the Yantai, Shandong province. And in the Shandong, the apple is really famous. Because the price of the apple were not really high in recent 2 years. Therefore, a lot of the farmers and the growers cut and chop down a lot of the apple trees. You can see that all these other branches were cut from the 17 mu of the lands. So how we can use them? They are produced and used in the projects led by government and used to produce the biomass fuel. And this picture was taken in the area with different kind of the building materials. These kind of materials has the pins and etc. so that they cannot be used again as the building materials, but they can be used as the resources of the biomass fuel. And these two pictures were not taken very clearly because they were taken on the car to the Heilongjiang province. They were taken on the way to the Shuanghe farm of the Heilongjiang province. And all these kind of the straws has already been failed. And you can see that in the Mongolia and the Heilongjiang province, there are a lot of the straws. As Mr. Liu has mentioned, that these kind of the straws are mainly used for energies, feed, and fertilizers. And in China, there are two different types of the raw materials. One is the wooden raw materials, another one is the straw. And the straw has a lower price and the recycling price of the wood is quite high. And the pictures of the wooden materials was showed in the previous slices. And the recycling price was quite varied. And these data show here is the mean price of different areas for the demolished materials. The raw materials is about 400 to 500 RMB per ton, and after they are produced as the pellets, they can be sold from 850 to 1,050 RMB per ton. The crunches of the pines is about 600 to 800 RMB per ton. When they are produced as the pellet, the price can be sold at 1,250 to 1,800 RMB. Last year, the price of this smoke-free coal was quite high. Let's have a look at the price of another material. Because that's the cotton wood has worse performance than the pipe, therefore the price is a bit lower. And the recycling price of the straw in Heilongjiang is about 260 to 400 RMB per ton, and after they produce as the pellets, the price can be 650 to 750 RMB per ton. And we also use the tobacco as the materials, but actually the amount was not really high, therefore we won't buy it, we trade it with other materials. After they are used to produce as the pellets, the price is about 600 to 700 RMB per ton. And we can see that the offcuts of the furnitures and the wooden pressures are the ideal raw materials because they have really good combustion efficiency and they don't produce a lot of the smoke. And from September to March next year, the supply of these materials cannot meet the demand. And for this kind of the crunches, it is not really difficult to produce them. They can be used for different kind of the stoves as well. But for the straws and the agricultural remainings and the tobaccos, they are not really easy to store and they will produce a lot of the smoke when they combust as well. And the heat they produce is about 2,600 to 3,000 joule. Therefore, their burning or the combustion efficiency are not very good. Because we can use the raw material to produce the pellet and get the margins. So how we can produce the pellet? Now I would like to introduce you some technologies and equipment for the pellet field. The first one is the processing technology for the wood pellet field. So you can hear me well, right? For producing the pellet, there are several processes, and we will unskin the log because the skin of the log will reduce the combustion rate and increase the ash. Therefore, if they have the skins, we will remove the skin, especially the woods from the South Korea, Canada, and Russia. And then we will slice them into chips. And we will slice them into the chips as thick as 3.5 centimeters, and then we will turn them into the powder and then dry them. And we would like to reduce the moisture to 13 to 15%, and then we can produce the pellet. Because the temperature of the pellet is about 95 degrees to 100 degrees Celsius, and then they can be packed and for cooling. When they are cooling, we need to divide them and then pack them. So this is the whole process of producing the pellet fill. No matter what the raw material is, no matter what the requirements are demanded by the customers, we just adopt the same process to produce the product. And then the briquette. The briquette is about 3 by 3, the size. And for the corn straw, we will dry them and then turn them into the briquettes. But for the wooden one, for the wooden briquettes, and we will divide them first and then use the hydrogen machine to compress them into the briquette. So when we produce the pellets, when we request that the size is low, the raw material size is lower than 10 millimeter, and the moisture is below 13 to 15%. And for the briquette making request, 95% are the compressing one. They will be in the shape of the briquette or the cylinder briquette. Currently, the majority of the stove mainly use the pellet. Only a few of them use the briquette or the cylinder fill as the complementary material or complementary fill. So let's have a look at the equipment. We use this machine to turn the log into the chips and then turn them into the powder and then dry them. And then we'll use the pellet making machine to produce the pellet. And then we'll cool them and divide them and pack them. We can pack them 1 ton per bag or a smaller size, so that the pellet is ready to use. We have 2 pictures on the right-hand side. And this is the production line in Malaysia. The capacity is about 100,000 tons per year. Currently, it runs really well and smoothly. From this picture, you can see the working and operation model of the biomass fuel manufacturing plant in China. We have the shipping machine, drying machine, storage machine, compressing machine, and packing machine. I think the majority of the pellet making factories in China, whose capacity is about 400 to 600,000 tons per year, would adopt this method. So we have so many machines and process. We need to make the margin. We need to have the profit. And in order to make profit, we need to take all aspects into the consideration: the price of the raw material and the price of the ready product. And then we also need to take the cost production into the production. For example, the labor cost, the bill electricity, the bill including electricity. So if we have 1 pellet making machine, each hour, if it can produce 1 ton of the pellet, the price of electricity is 65. For the chipping machine, the price for electricity is 12.2, and the crunching machine, the price is 29.61 RMB for producing 1 ton of the pellet in 1 hour. So in general, producing 1 ton of the pellet per hour will cost 131.22 RMB for the electricity and the labor as well. To operate these kind of machines, we need to have 1 to 2 really skillful workers. And the cost of this labor is 150 RMB per person per day. And we also need to take the damage of these machines into the consideration as well.
And then the cost for this is 183, and the human cost is about 10 to 12 yuan cost. So for each ton, it will require 150 yuan. The fourth, I'm going to talk about newest pellet mill and equipment. These equipment are used in China and Southeast Asian countries. So the pellet mill, 80% of the pellet mill in application are wood pellet mill. And the first generation of that is vertical ring die wood pellet. It was first introduced and produced in Europe, but this company went busted due to management issue. And however, they shared that technology, and the second generation machine was made. And from 2013 to 2014, and there has been third generation. Now in the market, most of the machines look like this one. So right now for this technology, there's no national or industrial standards. We only have our own company standards. Now we have 3 models, 560 and 700, 880, and they will work long and applicable to power of 90, 160 here, and the capacity is 1 to 5 tons up to 4 tons. And it can work with the dust cleaning and the heat and temperature detection machines. These are the small miniature ones. And the small ones, these ones are widely applied in Europe and South and Latin America. Here is a case study in Malaysia. This is a 10-ton per hour wood pellet line. Each covers an area of 170 meters. And beside it is the Europe machine. And here there's another drying facility. And this is another case in Indonesia. It's a 20-ton wood pellet line. It's in Linda. This factory is invested by South Korean companies. This one is in Thailand. The capacity is 10 tons per hour. This is the drying facility. This is a 10-ton per hour line in Vietnam. And there's a cooling machine behind it. We can provide an all-round solution, including production, installation, and training. This one is in South Thailand, at a shredding machine for rubber trees, and this one is designed for the root of the rubber trees. This one is a product delivered to Indonesia for tree roots that is under 40 millimeter diameter. And there are two facilities here. Each covers 20,000 square meters, each covers 40,000 square meters. Now, that shall conclude my speech. If you have any question regarding investment and pellet, and if you need the wood pellet, I welcome any suggestions and discussion. Thank you very much. Very, very detailed sharing. And please stop screen sharing so I can invite Mr. Liu back to the stage. Can you hear me now? Well, apologies for the connection. So I'm going to continue. The third thing I'm going to talk about is straw bundling and burning and centralized heating. We have already established 46 projects in Heilongjiang. There are many more in the country, and it provides heating to an area of 2.75 square meters of 42,000 households. Each year it consumes 80,000 tons of straw annually. It doesn't require processing, so the straws can be directly transferred to the processing facility. So the cost can be reduced by reducing the middle processing line. The other thing is that whether it's bricketing or pelleting, if the moisture rate is higher than 20%, it would be very difficult to briquette in. Lastly, but not least, it also provides very good ecological results because by transferring it from the field to the factory, so what we call that it is the entire process, the harvesting season, the heating seasons are synchronized. So it's ideal for centralized community and some companies and as well as some residential quarters. So this is an application in Haibei village. We provide heating for 1,721 residents, about 6,000 people. This is the entire process. We invested 4.35 million RMB and installed a 14 megawatt direct-fired biomass boiler to replace a 10-ton old coal-fired boiler. So I will go through it briefly. By using coals for heating, the cost for these people are 6.53 million RMB. So after replacement, we can save about 3 million RMB. So straw comparing to coal, it shows really obvious and effective cost reduction. The problem we need to solve is emission, the GSP, nitrogen byproduct, and these need new technologies and environment protection facilities to help. The second issue we need to solve is raw material supply. It requires relatively stable supply of raw materials. So here it shows that we collect ashes to use as soil conditioner or fertilizer. And here are some to compare different applications. And in the third picture, it's the seedlings grew by using straw ashes. So the straw ashes can be well utilized, and we also used it as fertilizer. And here you can see ashes based on straw and rice and fertilizer, so it can well used to replace other fertilizers. So these ashes can be well utilized. We have a special term for that. And the next one is about straw biogas technology. This technology is already been developed and utilized in many countries. It provides many advantages, including providing methane-based clean energy. And second, by processing straws, the manure and waste can be used, so it creates a clean environment for the rural areas. And there's also liquid waste that can be returned to the field. So it creates a closed loop in rural areas. The last but not least is that it provides breeding and promote breeding and agricultural industry. So straw biogas technology brings many social and ecological benefits. I didn't really touch upon economic benefits because the early investment and operation cost is relatively high. Without government subsidies, it is a bit challenging to turn it into a sustainable product. So if we want to develop it, we need the subsidy from the government, and the waste created by it can be used as fertilizer. So these photos on the right-hand side were taken in Sweden. They added biomass fuel into public transport, into the buses. So we need new technologies to be added to clean the fuels and the byproduct at the early stage to utilize the residual organic fertilizer. Third is straw pyrolysis gasification. For gasification, we need a polygeneration technology mode. That means carbon, biochar, plus hot water and fertilizer and gasification in a streamlined way. And biochar can be made into active coal. So this can create a streamlined and connected production. And in this way, we can reach the best goal and the effect. And this technology is relatively mature and already ready. Fifth is a material utilization technology of straw. I'd like to highlight on straw paper making technology. Straws has really good fiber structure. It can be a substitute for wood. Here is pictures in Wuchang City in Heilongjiang. They are producing paper with this technology. This type of paper has been used as a film, as a paper film that is degradable to replace plastic film. So we can reduce consumption of plastic. However, we do have a requirement on the plasticity and viscosity of this paper. And this technology in the future can be widely used in herbicides, so we can produce organic rice. It can also reduce pesticide application. So without photovoltaic reaction for the grasses, then the grasses around it will die. It also has other advantages, but in the future it's more to be used in producing rice.
And the companies also try in these aspects as well. And we also use the straw as the plank. And in Heilongjiang, there is a company to produce this kind of the plank by using the straw. This kind of the straw doesn't include the formaldehyde. And it can hold the pins properly. But the disadvantage is that the cost is quite high. And it is not aware and acknowledged by a lot of the consumers because it's made of the straw and the consumers worried about its strength. But actually, these are out of questions. And this one is used the straw as the warming materials in the rural areas of the northeast of the China. People use the straw as the building materials to keep the indoor area warm. And these pictures were taken in a lab building of the UK. They used the straw in the outer area as the warming materials. I think that this method worth to promote it in future. In China, we have the bricks that are made of the straws, but actually, this kind of this traditional one cannot compete with this kind of the modern one. You can see that in the low right corner, they use the straw as the ceiling. It creates this modern vibe to the indoor area. So these are the examples of using the straw as the building materials. And the last part is the ecological utilization technology model of the straw. There is a cooperation between a university in United Nations and Heilongjiang province. There are different types of the fibers in the straw, the thin one, the thick one, as well as the strong one. And they also can degrade these kind of the really coarse straw fibers as the molecules with really great thermal direction performance. And then they can use as the poly materials or the short fibers. They can be used as the raw materials of the packaging materials. Well, it's my great pleasure to have this opportunity to talk to you. In a nutshell, no matter in China or other countries, when we use the straw, we need to follow the following rules. Focus on the continuous region and the advance as a whole. And second, multiple use and agricultural priority, which means that we mainly use the straw for the agricultural purposes first. And third is that we need to rely on more aspects. The power and the ability of the government are really limited. So led by the government, more parts should be engaged in this industry. And fourth, all people should be participated, including the farmers and the citizens, to create an atmosphere and to contribute to these technologies which can deliver the benefit to the whole household and the country. I'm sorry for the unsmoothness of this speech because of the technology problem, but I still really appreciate for your listening and the help of the moderator. Thank you, Professor Liu. I think that your presentation is really comprehensive. There are 5 purposes of using the straw: the feed, agricultural purposes, the building materials, as well as the fuel. Well, actually, we believe that these keynote speeches are really informative. It is really hard to include and share everything within 25 minutes. And our two experts from ADB are also editing a book about the clean cooking and heating technologies in Asia, which will introduce the heating and cooking technologies in Asia really detailed. I hope that you can follow the news about this book. Now we have 5 minutes for a break. Remember to come back after 5 minutes.
大家好，欢迎各位参会者返回到会场。那下面让我们有请哈尔滨博能环保。
Welcome back. Now I would like to invite the representative from the Harbin Bio Environmental Protection Technology Corporation Ltd. Please be patient. So we can see the PowerPoint. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sorry that the camera is not compatible with the system, so that you cannot see me. But it is my great pleasure to share our work in the recycling of the waste. Company focus on the recycling of the waste in the rural area. We mainly recycle the waste, the straw, and other organic waste. Now I would like to give you some brief information about our company. And our company is located in the Songnan Plain in the Heilongjiang, where is really famous for the breeding and agriculture. It has really rich resources of the raw materials, so that's why our processing center is located in this area. We have several projects. One is in the Zhaodong of the Heilongjiang. Another is in the Mendian County of the Heilongjiang. These two projects are under operation. In the end of this year, we'll finish 9 similar projects. They are located in Daqing, Suihua areas. In the production of these projects, we have learned our own experience. So this liquefied can of our company in Zhaodong. And in Zhaodong, we would like to use the waste and face it as the resources. And we organically combine 3 parts: planting, breeding, and resource production. Therefore, no matter for the growers or the breeders, as well as our companies, we can have some margins. We will ferment the waste and the straws to produce the methane. And for the liquid, we'll use it as the organic fertilizer, and then they will be returned to the planters to produce the organic food. And the organic and the healthy food will be produced and provided to the consumers. So we have 1 project, 2 centers, and 3 parts, and 4 benefits. The total investment is 164 million yuan, and we can process 350 tons of the waste per day. I just mentioned that these kind of straws and waste will be fermented, and then they will be turned into the methane fertilizer, and some of the waste will be turned into feed as well. So we have 3 end products. So we have mainly 2 raw materials and produce 3 main products. Our purpose is to produce ecological cycle agriculture with a low carbon emission. Is everything goes well? No, please continue. One of our final products is the bio natural gas. They can reduce the carbon emission because we have recycled waste and use the straw as the energy has already mentioned by 2 experts is also a really important method to reduce the carbon emission.
So we could reduce chemical fertilizer usage. In this way, we can reduce carbon emission. And in this way, we can create a ecological friendly cycle in agriculture. So here I'm showing you when collecting straws, we gain experiences. We bundle it and bundle station construction. We will set up a collection center and then transport to the depot to be processed. This is a digital environment protection and digital agriculture system we have currently established for the growers and the farmers. We collect manure and transport to a farm to be processed to turn them into organic fertilizer. And then these fertilizers will be used for organic growing. Then the organic product will be sold to the consumers on the online organic product platform to create such a streamlined loop. We also work with local farmers to have them to participate in this process. We want to create beauty integrated with agriculture. We also have another product which is in health and rehabilitation. So industrial marijuana, we collect and extract CBD to be used in food production and cosmetic production. So we have 2 parts of a business. One is straw and manure processing. So in this way, we create an entire platform. That's why we call it beauty and agriculture. This picture shows that one of our projects, which is in Lingdian, an organic waste comprehensive processing project. We have 2 facilities and an anaerobic fermentation center. This is a methane center. It will go into this extraction center to be purified, to be processed into bio product, and the biogas product will be transported from point to point to supply as industrial purpose gas. This one is another project in Zhaodong. The size and the scale is about the same as the other one. The processing capacity is 3 million ton. And this one consists of some old facilities. This one also focus on natural gas and organic fertilizer. It can also be used as fuel and fertilizer. Our plan is to build low carbon cycling centers in Heilongjiang province. Our projects mainly focusing on Heilongjiang province in this area, in the highlighted area, which is home to the largest amount of growers. That's why in this area, in 10 counties and the cities, we will introduce similar projects. And this image shows that sometimes in some counties we will establish 3 projects, and some projects were accomplished in ahead of the schedule. This is a development plan for our company. At the beginning, we focus on project building. Now we developed into the 3.0 version and moving on to version 4.0, an upgraded version. In the 4.0 version, we would like to create a platform to combine utilization of organic waste and organic products to create organic agricultural products. In the process, we can also take on other projects to provide better organic services. Our product is available on our e-commerce platform and other e-commerce platform. So it creates a closed loop between production and sales. In the end of the day, we're going to create a platform which consists of agricultural product, organic food, organic product, and the resources product as well as the project. So we create an industrial park to promote low carbon ecology and low carbon eco-cycling, low carbon park. Since 2012, we entered into environmental protection area, taking on our experiences in straw processing and organic production. We have already established our own technological system. Regarding chemical waste, we take dry and continued fermentation skills. The characteristics of this technology is that it is easy to collect raw materials such as manure and human manure and animal manure, as well as straw and bio waste, organic lipid, and all of these can be processed, which consists of which is high in nutrient, and natural gas produced from it has over 55%, 58% of methane. So which is very, very advantageous for companies like us and to promote this technology in northeast of China. It is also the only pilot project under the 13th five-year plan of the government. These are some photos we took during the actual processing process. The fermentation temperature is monitored, and our product in terms of fertilizer, we create organic fertilizer as well as amino acid contain fertilizer and other fertilizers. So after purification, the natural gas, our standard already reached the national standard, and the heated producers also reached the national standard. In terms of organic fertilizer, we have our own field for industrial marijuana. We have our own laboratory through experiment. It shows that organic fertilizer can greatly improve production, and the quality of the product can also be improved. In this image, it shows the front line and from feeding to the final product, the entire process. On the left-hand side, you can see where the straws were fed and to be processed through 25 days of fermentation. We will separate the liquid part and the solid part to put the solid part to be turned into organic fertilizer, and the gases produced will be transformed to the collector and container to reduce sulfur and carbon. Finally, it will be converted into bio-natural gas. In this entire process, our products provide real-time monitoring and digital management. Our company is the one with the largest bio-organic fertilizer producer in Heilongjiang. So that's all about our company and our products, and thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Bon, for your introduction. Next, I would like to welcome representative from Hailong Liming Energy Saving Boiler Manufacturing. Can you hear me? Yes, we can. Please share your presentation. Good afternoon, dear ladies and gentlemen and experts. I'm the General Manager of Heilongjiang Environmental Protection Technology. I would like to give you an introduction about our company and our products. First, I would like to start with the industrial prospects. Our main product is boiler. They are biofuel, biomass. To put it in simple terms, they are based on straw. And the prospect. Boiler makers have a promising future, especially in China. We made a commitment to reach carbon peaking and carbon neutralization. We have set our own goals. To realize these goals, it requires coal boilers improvement so that we could reach the goals. This is a daunting task and a limited time frame. As a company specialized in boilers, we need to grasp this opportunity. We will focus on developing biomass boilers at full speed to introduce our best product and technology to the market. Second is an analysis on the requirement of the market. In Heilongjiang province, based on preliminary analysis, there are over 4 million coal-based boilers. If we could replace all of them, the total output could be the value will reach 8.4 billion, and that's based on the cost of 2,100 yuan each. In the next 10 years, the demand is very likely to be around 15,000 and 20,000 units. And in Suihua city in Heilongjiang, it has been listed as a key area to improve environmental technology. So that means The need is in the market is about 8,000 to be upgraded, and the total value would reach 5 billion. So these are the areas we could improve.
And the straws bowlers has a really potential market. In the northern China, the weather is cold. It is really suitable to plant the grains. And we also use the stove for heating as well. Therefore, the market is really potential. Because the demand is really great, there are several modes for the stove makers to make profit. The first is the biomass boilers, or the stove production. They provide the stove with really great combustion efficiency and low emission to the consumers. They also provide the installation, improvement, guidance, and after-sales services. In the past 5 years, the average annual output was over 70 million yuan, and the output in 2021 was over 100 million yuan. And the second part is the centralized heating provided in the towns and the villages. And these kind of the projects are led by the government or guided by the government. They adopted different kind of the operation methods such as the BOT and BOO. For example, the Junjia Energy Heating Corporation Ltd in Hailun, they provide the heating covering an area of the 230,000 square meters. They also cooperate with the city investment company of the Suihua to establish the Lixin Heating Management Company to provide the heatings in the towns and the villages. In future, we hope that they can enter into the carbon trading market. And the next one is the biomass briquette or the pilot field production. And the government need to invest in the infrastructure construction. But actually, we think that we can get the return within 3 years. The main issue is that the price gap between the biomass fuel and the coal is quite huge. The price of the coal is really low, but the price of the biomass fuel is about 1,300 to 1,400 RMB per ton. And regarding the briquetting fuel, it is the top choice of the users in the 4 provinces in the northeast China area. According to the policies of the Heilongjiang government, which require the acceleration of the development of using the straw as the raw material to produce the biomass fuel, a lot of the large size and the medium size biomass producing biomass fuel producing plant has already been established, whose capacity is about 10,000 to 20,000 tons per year. And the next one is the R&D of the biomass energy. In the 2021, our company has established the Jiahe Biomass Technology R&D company, which focus on the new technologies of the biomass fuel stove. We also cooperate with the universities to do the R&D. In the next 5 years, we hope that we can be listed in China. We hope that we can use the straw properly. We mainly want to use the straw as the fill and the fertilizer in future. So now I would like to introduce you the model of the Hailun. Thanks to some favorable policies and the supports of the government, we take the opportunities and supported by the government in all levels. We also endeavor to produce our Hailun model that includes the small and large size stoves, ensure that the clean cooking and sustainable heating. Therefore, the R&D of the straw is really important. Currently, the straw is really loose. It is separated, and the land with the field spread a really large area. Therefore, the collect of the straw is a problem. In order to deal with the problem, we need to change our business model. And then finally, we have the Hailun model. We have our own biomass fuel company and transportation and collection company, which has covered the whole chain of the utilization of the straw, so that we can use every bit of the straw and turn the waste into the treasure. For example, we will bale the waste straws and use as the fuel in the furnace, and the ashes will go back to the fields as the fertilizer. I think that compared to the electricity and the gas, the biomass fuel has better return on investment and low cost. And we need to ensure that our industry must be sustainable. Now, I would like to share with you the core advantage. According to the zero carbon vision in 2025, it mentioned that the biomass energy should reach 240 million tons of the standard coal as a traditional agricultural area. The output of the straw of the Heilongjiang province reached 130 million tons per year, accounting for 1/8 of the total straws in China. It also provides a rich raw materials to companies like us. And our company was named as a leading company by the Heilongjiang Straw Industry Alliance. Our technologies of using the straw and producing the stove are more and more mature. It just fill in the gap of the international and the domestic market. We also involved in the formulation of technical standards. We already received over 32 patents from the international and domestic organizations. And currently, we have 13 pending domestic patents and 3 pending international patents. And we have already been awarded as the company with the advanced technologies. Our core technologies also fill in the gap in the market.
结合生物质综合利用产业化模式，海伦的这个利民模式，小规模大群体分散经营，唯有资源建企业，补齐了产业链条，是吧？为农民。
We think that our model can contribute to the carbon reduction, solve the concerns of the farmers and the government. We also have our own cloud platform with our professional data analysis model and the warning mechanism. All the biomass stoves can be connected, the data can be shared, and the problems can be detected remotely and controlled remotely. After our product has already been launched, it caught the attention of the society. We have larger and larger market shares, and our market is larger as well. So I can tell that in general, our product is really powerful and competitive. Now I'd like to share with you our product. Our core product is the biomass pile furnace. It has the half gasification combustion chamber and intensified combustion chamber and the fixed carbon combustion chamber. It is quite advanced with high efficiency, and it can also conserve the energy as well. We also have the stove, which has been recognized as the clean burning stove. It has improved the thermal efficiency of the stove. All these are our successful cases in recent years. You can see our furnaces and stoves both inside and outside the province, and our products are welcomed by the users. This is the development history of our company. From a small company, we made progress step by step, and currently we're already been entitled as the little giant in the third batch by the MIIT. And this is the organization chart of our company. Here you can see our founder and chairman, as well as our general manager.
We have been recognized as the top 20 energy companies in Heilongjiang province. So we need government support and policy support, as well as our technology advancement to enjoy fast speed development. And that's all I would like to share with you. Thank you very much. Thank you, and please exit presentation sharing. Now, I would like to welcome Mr. Coach of Science and Technology Development. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to deliver this speech on behalf of Ms. Wang Hong to talk about our 结乐 Forestry University together, we created and established this 结乐 model based on biotechnology and to produce technology to reuse and process manure and to extract elements from straws and fibers. We can utilize 500,000 tons every year and create and produce bio fertilizer over 100 tons and fiber of 100,000 tons every year. So we use technology to improve environment and also created employment for local areas and made contribution to rural revitalization. In 2020, the 结乐 model, under the leadership of NDRC, we won the first place in the competition. And in 2021, we were recognized as a high-tech company. In 2021, our technology was included into the green technology category. In 2022, our company was included into the key companies to be supported in Heilongjiang. On this page is a complete processing and utilization process of 结乐 straws. And on the first page image, you can see the biggest pollutant in the rural areas, which is the animal manure. And the second picture is straws, crop straws. So we use it for animal feed and fuel, as well as for bio pulping. If it is used for feed, we created a pit and to collect it and to use it as a fuel. There's also straw ash created apart from creating heat. So also with the liquid as the byproduct of bio pulping, which consists of nutrient and that can be extracted and to become a substrate or as a biofertilizer. So our technology focus on biopulping we can extract straw fiber, which can be used as a film, and the liquid of straws can be extracted as liquid fertilizer. Micro element as well as other acid can be extracted to be used as fertilizer. There are two sources of contaminant. One is straw, the other one is manure. Some of them cannot be reused. Those which contains low in fiber and close to the root and contains lots of debris and soil, and they can be very tiny, with not much of nutrient, and they are high in carbon and high in nitrogen. So after some adjustment and processing, we can turn it into biofertilizer and substrate. The stems of the straws can be reproduced and turned into bio pulping. By techniques and technologies, we turn them into bio pulping. In this process, there is liquid created as a byproduct, and these micro bioagents can be combined with other fertilizers and to be converted into liquid fertilizer. In this image, you can see the basic composition of straws. There are different types of elements. Fiber contains the largest amount. To extract it, however, it is very difficult to extract fiber from straws because of its structure. We will have to reduce the lignin. We created our own technology. Traditionally, you need to use chemical with a really strong acid which is very highly contaminant. However, with our technology, we use the bio agents to help to decompose and to break the chemistry bonds in the molecules, which is environmental friendly, and the product can be used for fiber and many other sources and raw materials can be used as raw materials. So the advantages of biopulping is that it helps to reduce energy and reduce emission. It can be used to replace traditional techniques and technologies. Second, we can extract microelement from straws and also extract the humid acid liquid. So that could help sustainable agriculture development. High polymer cellulose can be extracted and to be used as a biopulping. Fourth, but not least, with this new technique, we can reduce coal consumption, reduce electricity and energy consumption. Fifth, we could also use this to replace wastewater and create a new source for paper production, to replace wood with grass. Next, it also gives us an opportunity to convert grasses into paper. It is a technology and techniques with Chinese characteristics. So also by using the straw in this way, we reduce the combustion of straws. By burning each ton of straws, it can create 1 to 1.3 tons of carbon dioxide, which is not good for the environment. Here, it is showing some application of the fiber extracted from straws. It can be used as packaging or boxes or plates, and they are degradable. They can be used to replace paper and plastic. They can be used to produce degradable utensils. And the lining of some packaging. Here, this one is a disposable utensils and tableware, and this one is a shoe braces, and this is a box and some container to be used for liquid and small packaging and boxes. It can also be used for agricultural purposes for seedling. Right now on the market, you can already find these seedling facilities. In the market, you can find the plastic ones, but now by making the seedling cups with straw products, it could be more environmentally friendly. And this honeycomb-like cups is also made from straw fibers and made of the papers. Over 120 days, it will naturally degrade it. It can be laid over on the surface of the floor or on the field. It also reduces the time when the farmers have to work and increase the efficiency. And this one in raw is also a degradable film. It doesn't allow light to pass through. So grasses under the film cannot create photovoltaic process. Then without it, these grasses will die. So this is made of the sections of the straw which is close to the root of the straw. And this one is for substrate. So right now, the incumbent technology is actually harmful to the environment. Grass charcoal soil is environmentally unfriendly. That's why it has already been banned. But with the new technology, it also helps to reduce pesticide, and it has characteristics such as ventilation is good, and insulation and water retainment. These are also applications in replacing plastics, which is more appealing for seedling. It helps to increase efficiency and reduce times that spent in the field, and also it is degradable. Every year there's a plastic pollution in the farm field, which causes environmental issues. So by using these technologies, we could make great contribution to environmental protection. And in this page, I would like to show that the fibers can also be used as film to replace plastic film. There's no acid and alkaline being added to the processing process, there is no pollution to the environment and it doesn't cause plastic pollution. Third is that it could replace it could use to replace herbicide.
已经进行了5年的实验，我们确实达到了完全可以替代除草剂，所以五常大米的价格相对比较高。除了它品质好，那么它的安全性呢，也是五常大米比较贵的一个主要原因吧。再一个呢，就是这个利用节水利用这个纤维素地膜可以做到节水保墒，通过覆盖秸秆纤维素地膜可以调节地温，保持土壤水分，用水量为常规水稻田的用水量的1/3。那么为什么有这么大的节水量呢？是因为这个如果用了除草剂以后啊，农民在插秧的时候他需要换水，他换水这个量呢非常大，每次换水的这个水层的高度啊，应该是至少是3到5公分。那么这么大的面积，3到5公分的这个换水量，这个可能是相当于一个暴雨的级别了。再一个呢，就是这个我们这个膜呢，用纤维素做成这个地膜，它是可以完全降解的，以有机质的形式还田。它这个里面不含有任何聚类的物质，就聚乙烯啊、聚氯烯啊，这个它都没有。那么它呢是通过这个微生物，它因为本身它就是100%的有机质嘛，它是作为微生物的食物，然后在这个水田里被降解掉了，所以完全不用考虑收膜的问题。它大概在水田内呢，大概是60天到120天。这个根据各地的这个
They can be used as the food of the microorganisms. The film can not only be used in the rice field, it can be used in the acre as well, in the land. For example, in the growing of the herbs, the herbicide is prohibited. Therefore, they can use the film produced by us. All these are the pictures taken in the actual cases. And you can see the last picture. It shows that how the film would look after using for 120 days. And in the rice field, you can see that it is really humid. So the degrading period and the degrading time is really short. And the pictures in the second row, you can see the usage of the film in the rice field. And the first picture shows the machines that you can cover the land with the field. And it has a lot of the advantage, the products. For example, the liquid extracted during the pulping producing process is rich in the probiotics, and then it can be used as the water soluble fertilizer, and it is really good for the strength, for enhance the strength of the plants. And the powder can be used as the organic fertilizers. According to the need, it will be separate. It would be spreaded into the soil directly. And it can provide the nutrition to the land so that we can reduce the usage of the chemical products as well as the fertilizers. And the products can be used for the rice, the corn, and other kind of the plants. Our model can solve 3 problems. First, the straw can be used as the soil for the seedling. And second, it can help the land to prevent the growing of the weeds because it can
以上这个产品使用过程中呢，遵循大自然本源循环规律，将秸秆和粪污等来自土壤的养分全量还田，减少化肥、农药及塑料的使用，改良土壤，恢复农业生态。那么整个我们这个模式呢，也是符合农业污染治理的目标。一控就是控制用水总量，减少面源污染；两减，减化肥、减农药。三个基本就是基本治理的这个秸秆、絮荇粪污、塑料农膜引起的这个白色污染。这是我们在
It can also reduce the white waste as well. We already received over 20 patents. It includes the whole process from the boiling to the production of the biomass fuel.
对我们公司这个模式的一个介绍。
And this is my introduction of the operation model in our company. And our model meets the requirements of the circular and ecological agricultural model. And we don't produce any wastewater or waste gas or the solid waste during the process. It is really friendly to the environment. It doesn't generate any new pollutions. Using our new products can also provide more nutrients to the lands, reduce the usage of the fertilizers and the chemicals. It can also improve the quality of the soil and to restore the ecological agriculture, improving the quality of the food and ensure food security and safety for the consumers. Thank you very much. Well, I would like, due to a time limitation, I would like to propose a question to Professor Liu Jie. There are so many technologies for the comprehensive usage of the straws. What are the technology used most in China, and what are the technologies suitable for the Southeast Asian countries? Well, actually, in China, I think returning the straw to the field is the most welcome technology. It has already been mentioned in the keynote speech. There are different technologies to achieve it, but so we need to choose the right one according to the conditions. And the second one, in China, there are a lot of the people living in the rural areas, especially in the northern area. They need the fuel for cooking and heating. Therefore, they should use the straw for the fuel, no matter the briquetting one or the pilot fuel. And the third technology is using the straw as the feed, especially in the northwest area, where the breeding industry is thriving, and they mainly use the really traditional way to feed the breed. So I think in China, there are three ways to use the straw. Use the straw as the fuel, as the feed, as the fertilizer. Well, actually, in some other countries, they also use the straw as a supplement to provide the necessary protein to the human being. Well, actually, there are various technologies to use the straw, but which one we should adopt it depends on the actual conditions of the specific area. Thank you very much, and we already have all the presentations for today's session, and I would like to thank all the participants for hanging there. We also need your help to fill it a questionnaire. Now I would like to invite my coworker Anna to share the questionnaire.
Thank you so much, Wei Hao. So I will be now launching the post-meeting questionnaire. So I'm currently launching it. So for our participants today, thank you for staying until the end of this session. So please complete the self-assessment, and we are kindly requesting the participants to answer this post-test to help us evaluate the learnings from today's session on the different policies and technologies available for clean cooking and heating, and also agricultural waste. So we have 8 questions in our poll. So kindly requesting our participants to please answer the Zoom poll being shown on your screen right now. So I'm just waiting for more participants to answer our post-meeting evaluation. Okay, so still waiting for responses. So this test is actually a repeat of the questions that we launched earlier, just so that we could assess ourselves how much we've learned after our sessions today. So still waiting for more participants to answer the Zoom poll. Okay, so still waiting. Kindly requesting all our participants, if you could please answer the Zoom poll before we move to our plenary session. Okay, so please answer the Zoom poll. So, okay, so we have responses coming in. So just please rate how much, how you would assess your knowledge on policy development and best air quality management practices after our session today. So just waiting for a few more seconds before we move to our plenary session for the closing. Okay, 2 participants have already answered. So I'll give it around 30 seconds more before I hand it over back to Wei Hao. So a few more seconds. Let's see. Okay, so a few more seconds. I think we can end with this. So handing it over back to Wei Hao. Thank you.
好的，谢谢丹娜。那谢谢我们所有的参会者能够坚持到会议结束，也再次感谢今天的专家和企业代
Thank
表。
you, Anna, and thank you all the participants for staying here. And I would like to thank all the representatives of the government for sharing their companies and their products in details. Now we can move to the plenary meeting and go through the close ceremony. And we will also have a session about introducing the programs which can help the needy countries better.